we were living in Marble Arch then, in one of those high-rise security prisons, and it had a spare bedroom which we'd egg-boxed and done all that stuff to. And we were sitting in the sitting room, and he suddenly got this, he used to get this weird look in his eyes, this sort of third-dimensional sort of spaced look. And he suddenly jumped up and he whisked off. He said, "I've got to go." And off he went, and with all this plinking and plonking and... And I had the television on, and I was reading and doing a crossword and all things at the same time. And so he said, "Come and listen to this." And I whizzed out, went into the room, and it was... And there it was, Ride a White Swan. And it was on, he said, and then the first thing he always asked, I don't know if he asked anybody else this, is, "Does it sound like anything else? Does it sound like anything you've ever heard before?" And then I'd listen and I'd say, "Well, a bit like whatever, a bit of Howling Wolf in there, or a bit of Bob Dylan, or..." "No, I haven't." And then you go away, and you say, "Well, go out." You go out and you hear both, it used to do it on T.REX, had two linked T.REX, and you go out and you hear the tapes whizzing back. And then he'd drop it down a track, because he'd go on to the next track, and then you'd hear, and it suddenly would alter subtly and change. And then you get called back, you summoned, and you go, sit on the floor, no chairs, on the floor, hit the knob, and then he'd play, and then you'd listen. And he'd say, "What do you think?" And I said, "It's great, wonderful. I'm sure it'll be a hit. Doesn't sound like anybody else?" "No, it doesn't sound like anybody else." And that was it. And it was done. And then he'd used to ring Tony Visconti, whatever time, day or night, didn't matter, it could be 4 in the morning when he'd done that. And then it was, "Tone, I've just written the next single." And then, "Can I come over?" And often we'd go over at 4 in the morning with his T.REX tape. And Tony would be up, we'd play it, and he'd offer suggestions which Marc took no notice of. Then Marc would go away, and suddenly when they got to the studio, some of Tony's suggestions were in there, but they weren't Tony's, they were Marc's. All Marc's.